NBA back. So here is what is like, I would say 99% going to happen. It seems like they are, pretty firm on this. And it did seem like the reporting indicated that they don't anticipate too much trouble figuring it out with the union, but they have to figure out cap stuff. NBA will return preliminarily December 22nd. 72 games with a play-in tournament. Finished by the time the 2021 Tokyo Olympics start. So originally they had talked about December, and then they had moved it back to maybe even February. But it appears as if they're understanding that, like, the goal of all of that was to get more arenas with people in them. And I think they are just sort of, it appears as if they're just sort of punting on that idea and just sort of saying we got to get back on a normalish schedule and get this season in, and waiting until February is not going to make too much of a difference, which I think as far as strategy wise is smart. As far as me having to watch Sixers games every other night in December when they just ended, I'm honestly kind of annoyed. I wanted a little more time away, but that's what seems like it's going to happen. And the off season, which is normally, like, we talk about Ricky off season in terms of like sort of stretching stretching out a little bit and doing stuff. But the basketball off season is pretty compact, with the draft November 18th and then free agency like right after that, and then training camp almost right after that. So
yeah, that is no time.
No,
that is no time to get going. If you thought that the Sixers were a flip the switch team last year, I think every team's going to be a flip the switch team.
Yeah,
guys aren't going to know each other. Yeah, like, imagine getting drafted. First of all, no Vegas Summer League, devastating.
Yeah.
And imagine, like, if they draft my first thought obviously goes to the draft. Like, if you draft a freshman, then like there's no time to work them into your system. That is essentially like a stash pick for next year.
Yeah. Well, and it will benefit the teams who. Look, I think mostly NBA rosters are going to remain pretty static just because of the unsureness of revenue moving forward and like a lot of different things. I think aside from draft, I don't think there's going to be like a ton of movement, but the teams that are already good that keep their rosters pretty much intact are going to have a big advantage over teams that do not.
Probably, but also there's not that much off season. The guys like, the Lakers and Heat and all the teams that played late into September, October, this really isn't much time off from each other, from your coaching staff, like to handle yourself, like, and detox from the season mentally, whatever it is. I think everybody's got versions of
positives
obstacles to overcome and stuff. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I like that it's 72 games. I think it should always be 72 games. I feel good about that. I like starting around Christmas. I think it should always start around Christmas. I think this is hopefully a, half step or whatever to the future of like, this is what it's always going to be. I think that's great.
Yeah. I think they're probably more likely to start late November so they can stretch things out a little bit, as opposed, this is still pretty compact the way that they're doing it.
Yeah.
I agree with you on Christmas. The thing though, and you're right, like we're really just guessing, sort of like going into the bubble. They do only have 2 months in between the end of like the Lakers season and the Heat season and the beginning of the season, but they did have 4 months off before that. So it is sort of a weird thing. It wasn't like they just played a full season.
No, yeah, it's just a weird ramp up and ramp down, and also being in the bubble is a special kind of, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Tax on your body and yourself and your routine and all that stuff. I don't know about there's not going to be much movement. I think that there could be teams that really need to get off shit.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Need to get off money, and so they'll do, they'll attach a pick or whatever it is to get off contracts. I wonder who those teams are going to be. It's kind of weird to speculate, like which owners are getting poor and poor, relatively to the stature. I don't know. I also think that like this is the first shot at this, and it's like we're going quick, and they still need like union approval and all this stuff. I would be surprised if this stays as is. I think this is an ambitious first salvo in, like, here's what we're trying to do. I do love that they're keeping the 8 seed play-in. I think that's absolutely worthwhile. Why not?
It's why not, but it is. To me, like, look, some years they're going to get lucky, and some years they're not. Like, some years they're going to get like, boy, here's the fucking Magic versus the Bulls versus like a bunch of teams. And I think we got lucky last year with, Portland in it and Phoenix,
Memphis.
Having a chance right at the end. But there are going to be some years where it seems kind of dumb, I think.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think just for those fan bases, I don't think this is going to be the thing to hook casual fans.
Yeah.
But theoretically, most of the time, this is either going to be teams with like young talent, like the Pelicans or whatever, trying to get in, or a veteran team that's kind of disappointed, like the Blazers, that still has enough juice to, like, win a couple games to get in there. I just like more
Different stuff.
stakes for other teams and stuff. And obviously, having a shot at the 1 seed is not hugely successful, but it's happened before, and a sprained ankle, and then you're in business. It's I like it. I mean, anything that makes it more like March Madness is good for me, for sure.